Breaking news. A state lawmaker accused of child sex crimes announces his resignation from a jail cell just moments after a committee is assembled to investigate him. What this means for the people who he represents.
It could be a frosty start to November. How cold your Halloween will be and who's under the frost advisory tomorrow morning.
And a 140-mile-per-hour chase ends with a suspect in custody and a state trooper in the hospital. Sky 5 captured the tense moments leading to an arrest and a car in a creek. What we're learning about the suspect now with 12 charges across 2 counties. What a story that was. Boo! Did I get ya? I got you. Welcome to the news here at 7 o'clock, everybody. I am Dan Haggerty. It's Halloween. It is a Friday night, and the temperature is a little spooky because we have a frost advisory in place tonight. Meteorologist Kat Campbell live outside with the trick-or-treaters, giving us an update on the weather and on the spooks and scares out there.
It is amazing out here in Oakwood tonight. I mean, there are hundreds of people. Just check out this house behind me. So cool to see all the trick-or-treaters, their costumes, all the candy that they have out here, and all of the laughs, the screams at the decorations. But let's take a look at the forecast. As temperatures cool down tonight, we're dropping down into the 40s later on, so make sure that you are bundling up. We'll be right around 48 degrees at 9 o'clock. And as we look ahead tonight, there is a frost advisory, and the frost advisory was updated earlier today to include the entire viewing area. This is in effect from 2 a.m. through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So if you have any kind of sensitive plants that you're trying to protect, make sure that you go ahead and cover them up or bring them inside. Back out here live in Oakwood tonight, we are going to bring you some of the sights, talk to some of the trick-or-treaters coming up here at 7:15.
That place is packed. All right, we'll check back in with Kat. Thank you, Kat. This was a different type of scary today. This is some wild video out of Johnston County. Sky 5 over the scene. A police chase on I-95 this afternoon. That white Camaro there, you see, well, they didn't get away. That tire blew out. The chase ended in a crash shortly after. Now the driver is facing a bunch of charges. WRAL's Willie Danley joining us live tonight. Willie, 5 cars were damaged in what was a wild scene today. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt.
Yes, Dan, I mean, it's an understatement to say that this chase turned crash caused a traffic nightmare for commuters here on I-95. You can see here State Highway Patrol have 20-year-old Shaheem Stephenson in custody. Right now, some of the charges that he's facing is reckless driving to endanger, eluding arrest, speeding competition, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Luckily for the drivers out here, there were not any reported serious injuries in any of the 2 crashes that were caused by this chase, but it did cause a nightmare for people that were driving home, a huge traffic delay. Some people reporting it taking them nearly 40 minutes to drive 7 miles. As you can see behind me, this scene is now clear. All of the vehicles involved have been towed away. Stephenson is being held on a $75,000 bond, and he's due to be in court on Monday. WRAL will be there. Willie Danley, WRAL News, done.
Willie, thank you. We want to get to some breaking news now out of the state capitol tonight. State House Rep Cecil Brockman has resigned from a jail cell. He's accused of a statutory sex offense with a child. In his resignation letter, Brockman wrote, "Due to the seriousness of these accusations, I need to focus on my defense. I am currently unable to fulfill my duty and service to my constituents in Guilford County." So WRAL state government reporter Paul Spade joining me now in the studio. He's been covering this story since the very beginning. Now, Paul, Brockman was arrested over 3 weeks ago. Why now? Why did it take so long to get this resignation?
Well, he hasn't actually said. We've been reaching out to him by phone, email, reaching out to his attorney asking, hey, can you comment on these charges and more? And his letter that he released today doesn't say what took so long, but the timing is interesting. House Speaker Destin Hall assembled a committee to review the charges against Brockman and potentially recommend his expulsion from the House. That news of that committee came out this afternoon. Shortly thereafter, we got the resignation letter.
Yeah, there you have it. That said, we've heard from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, calling for him to resign, calling for something to be done here. What is their response to this tonight?
Right. Hall released a statement earlier tonight saying this spares us from having to go through with this process and review the charges and air it in a public committee. Representative Robert Reeves, he's the House Minority Leader, he came out and said he agrees with Brockman's decision, saying it's good for him to do this so he can focus on defending himself in criminal court.
Right. So now Brockman's seat is open, which is a big deal, especially for his constituents and for kind of the balance of power, all these different things. So what happens now that this seat is vacant?
Right. State law says that the political party of the person who left the legislature gets to pick a replacement. That will happen on November 15th, according to the Guilford County Democratic Party chairwoman, who we spoke with earlier tonight. They'll have some people come throw their hat in the ring. Members of that party will vote on who the nominee should be to replace him, and then Governor Josh Stein will ultimately appoint that person.
Okay. Keep us updated. Thank you, Paul.
This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center, and all new at 7 o'clock tonight. Deputies say that a Fayetteville woman got on a school bus yesterday and refused to get off. This happened around 4 o'clock on Princess Anne Drive in the southern part of Cumberland County, just off Camden Road. They say that 36-year-old Ashley Gallant got on a school bus from Elizabeth Cashwell Elementary School. The bus driver told her to get off the bus, and she refused to do so. And according to deputies, they have video from the bus that backs up the bus driver's account of what happened. Gallant was arrested today, charged with trespassing on a school bus. She did post a $500 bond, and she is out tonight.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Today, 2 federal judges told the USDA that they need to use their emergency funds to keep SNAP afloat, to make sure that people using those food stamps also stay fed. It's a response to a lawsuit that was filed, that we've been telling you about, filed by 25 states, including North Carolina. And the USDA needs to give us an update on that by Monday. I spoke to 5 on Your Side's Keely Arthur about what could happen if that funding doesn't show up, and if it will be enough if it does. Keely, let's talk about this again, because we have this federal judge who is now saying that the USDA does in fact have to fund SNAP, but this is not a guarantee, and people are still anxious about what's going to happen.
Right. The judge ruled that this emergency funding can go through. So this isn't funding for the rest of the future. This is $6 billion and will only last a few weeks. And we spoke with the North Carolina Attorney General's office. They told us that the USDA has until Monday to figure out a plan to distribute all of those funds to North Carolinians and everyone across the country on SNAP.
So there are families even waiting until that happens, trying to figure out what's going to happen for them in the next couple of days if they are using these SNAP benefits. So what should they do right now if they're in a bind?
We know that the food banks have been working overtime. A lot of the food banks and these people on SNAP, which is 1 in 8 Americans roughly. So a lot of people were bracing for a reality where they weren't going to get any SNAP funding. I've spoken to people who are trying to be more strategic about the types of food items that they purchase, things that are going to be more shelf stable, and things that they know their children will eat. So just having to think a lot harder about something we all do, which is go grocery shopping.
So are you hearing from families, lots of families who are using these benefits?
I am. And, most don't like to speak on camera, but I'm starting to sense more of a call to action from these people who want to get out there and say, look, we're just like every other American family. We want to be able to eat, and we go to work. 80% of these people are working Americans in North Carolina, and they just are speaking to me because they want to get the word out.
And definitely just bringing more awareness. Donations are going to be great. It's going to be extremely needed. And there's a lot of the community trying to come together to help. But, it's obviously going to be hard.
What can people do, and what should they do if they're looking to help folks out?
Yeah, I mean, this is a scary time, but it's also really heartening and exciting time to see all the people at the food banks who are volunteering, all the people that maybe don't volunteer or donate to food banks doing that now. We have lots of resources on our website, WRAL.com, on ways to give and get help. The biggest thing I would say is we think food banks, we think donate cans of food. That can be a good idea, but the best thing to do is donate money. A, you don't have to go to the store, so it's easy. You can just donate online. And then B, a lot of these food banks buy wholesale, so they're going to be able to buy a lot more. They have bigger purchasing power than you or I would have.
All right, good stuff. Keely, thank you. Who had the best costume this year in your house or in your office, maybe in your neighborhood? It always amazes me how creative people can get on Halloween. And some of the most creative costumes are out on Franklin Street every year in Chapel Hill. Monica Casey joining us there. Lots of people out and about there tonight, Monica.
Hey, Dan, yeah, it's getting a little bit busier here now. Maybe those college students got a slightly later start than some of those families that Kat was around. But you can see people here on Franklin Street, lots of interesting costumes. And you know which one's making a comeback this year? Quite a few Scooby-Doo and the gang costumes that we are seeing. Now, take a look at this video. Here's what things looked like last year. The darker it gets outside, the more Franklin Street lights up with these college-age trick-or-treaters. Businesses tell us they see a boom each year from this holiday, and it being on a Friday makes a difference this year. Now, in the past, police have shut down Franklin Street for safety, and last year was the first time they did not do that. They won't be doing that this year either. Chapel Hill police are leading an alcohol safety effort tonight, educating people and watching for any violations. Now, they are also reminding drivers in the Chapel Hill area and every area to keep an eye out for trick-or-treaters, especially if you are in a residential area. Live in Chapel Hill, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
All right, sounds good. Monica, thank you. Hey, stick around for tonight's Friday moment of nostalgia. We found a story in the WRAL archive from one of those crazy Halloween nights in Chapel Hill. Also, after the break, we respond to your feedback. We get some emails all the time about balloon releases and their impact on the environment, but how bad are they? Really? We're going to talk about it next. Balloons are often part of celebrations and memorials, but when they float away, they can cause some big problems. A lot of you at home remind us about this anytime that you see us show a balloon release on TV. We get emails all the time. Now we are seeing some messages about balloon releases being illegal in North Carolina. Now that's not true, not yet anyways. WRAL's Liz McLaughlin explains.
These might look festive, but they can turn into a Halloween nightmare for wildlife, waterways, even power crews. Raleigh's trash traps catch what washes off streets. Bottles, snack wrappers, and sometimes pieces of balloons.
I think there's always, some fragments of balloons that are there. Typically, if you're in a park or something where maybe people are having birthday parties, we see that a lot more frequently. Kaylee Cross says balloon releases often start with good intentions to honor loved ones, but end with plastic pollution. In one study, NC State researchers tagged floating trash in Raleigh that traveled more than 200 miles toward the coast. And in 2023, a juvenile whale found in Emerald Isle died with a foil balloon in its stomach. One of the biggest things to know is that they are maybe harmful. And so, when we release a balloon into the air, it has to go somewhere. And oftentimes wildlife mistake that as food. 10 states already restrict balloon releases. A North Carolina bill that would fine intentional releases $250 passed an initial vote in January, then stalled in the Senate Rules Committee.
The law is meant to establish a set of rules to help the public be safe, right? And to say that this is something that we have recognized is not a good practice, and we need to change behavior.
Advocates say there are plenty of other ways to celebrate, from bubbles to flowers to reusable displays, without sending pollution into the sky. Supporters compare these balloon release laws to littering laws. They can help set expectations even if they're rarely enforced. This law isn't expected to pass this session, but could be reintroduced next year. Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
All right, thank you to Liz. Now, look, a few North Carolina beach towns already do ban releases locally, so in those areas. And there are plenty of alternatives, as she was mentioning there, to these balloon releases. So fly a kite, blow some bubbles, light luminaries or candles, pretty much anything that you can clean up when you're done, clean up afterward. Now, you might say to this, Dan, this all kind of sounds obvious, all right? But if it's so obvious, why do we keep doing it? Why do people keep doing these balloon releases? And I can think of at least two reasons off the top of my head. For one, many times the people releasing the balloons are grieving. These are somber moments a lot of times, symbolic gestures of letting go. You could say that a community who lost maybe a child to gun violence or someone to suicide has a lot more on their mind than going green. But even if the environment was top of mind for some of those people, stopping balloon releases is kind of like just a little single tiny little drop in an ocean of plastic waste on our planet. And I mean that quite literally. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a thing. Perhaps you have heard of it. There is an eastern patch and a western patch out there in our ocean, and together they cover over 600,000 square miles of ocean. That is 12 times the size of our great state of North Carolina here, of floating garbage. Balloons are among those items in the patch, and they are horrible for wildlife, as we were saying. I don't want to minimize that, but balloons don't even crack the top 10 for most littered plastic items. You got cigarette filters and plastic film, plastic containers, plastic bags, plastic cups and water bottles. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, Dan, but I recycle these things. Well, think again, because most of the time you can't recycle those things. Here's the Wake County website. No plastic food containers, no plastic cups, no plastic bags. On Raleigh's website, it says, reminder, no plastic bags. They get stuck in our sorting machines. In fact, if you look at Greenpeace, in 2021, of the 5 billion pounds of plastic waste in the U.S., less than 5% was recycled into something new. Less than 4.8%. They rounded up to make it 5. Looks better, I guess. Just something to consider next time that you comment on a balloon release or have an opinion on that. They are bad, but there is so much more to this story. Tell you what, let's open the floor to some comments if you would like. What do you think about balloon releases? Did we miss something in this report? Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we will go in depth. Let's go back out to Kat Campbell, who's having fun with some trick-or-treaters.
You know, Dan, this is one of my favorite costumes of the night. With me, I have the one and only Elsa. Are you having fun? You getting some good candy?
Let's go, let's go.
Yes, you did it great. You are in character. We love to see it. Can you make it snow for me this year, Elsa? Yeah, that's my only request. Are you having fun, Mom?
I'm having a great time.
All right, lots of candy?
Yes, lots of candy, lots of sugar.
Hopefully enough to share with the parents, right?
Yes.
All right, well, we don't have any snow in the forecast yet, Elsa, but we're going to take a quick look at the trick-or-treating forecast. It is beautiful out here tonight. Temperatures are comfortable, a little on the chilly side. You saw Elsa was weather prepared in her long sleeves. By the time we get to 9 o'clock, we'll be right around 48 degrees, 43, though, in Roxborough, 49 degrees in Fayetteville. And your weather headlines, we've got a frost advisory for everybody for the first time this year. It encompasses the entire viewing area. Nothing scary for your Halloween forecast. It's a beautiful, beautiful evening. And then our next weather maker may end up coming Sunday evening and Sunday night. High pressure is building in, and around it we've got a clockwise wind. That northwest wind is cooling temperatures down for us tonight, and we expect to dip into the upper 30s. Planning your weekend, we've got mid-60s for highs. We'll drop down to 39 for the low tomorrow night. 38 is the low tonight. Dry weather during the weekend, but we do have that chance for rain Sunday night. And if you're headed out to the Wolfpack game with me tomorrow, 7:30 kickoff, 54 degrees, and 11 o'clock, 47. So make sure you're bundling up. Check out these lows. That'll make you really want to have your jacket on hand. 33 tomorrow morning in Roxborough, 37 Goldsboro, 35 in Rocky Mount. Your 7-day forecast. High temperatures are actually going to be warming up. We'll be back in the 70s by the time we get to next week. In the meantime, we just have that one chance for rain Sunday night into Monday. And don't forget, clocks fall back this weekend. Back out here live in Oakwood. It is a party out here tonight. They've got a DJ, they've got music. It's all for a good cause, too. They have completely filled up bins of canned food to donate to food pantries in our area. So we're excited to see this for a good cause as well. As the kids are out getting their candy tonight, we got Olaf. Also, we saw Elsa and we had Olaf. So we got to see the whole gang, and it's so much fun to just turn around and see what costumes are going by behind me.
Well done. I wish we could stay with you longer, Kat. Thank you. Halloween this year fell on a Friday. That means your Friday moment of nostalgia is a little spookier than normal. Stick around for a story about Halloween in downtown Chapel Hill, straight out of the WRAL archive after the break. Halloween, it's a big deal in my neighborhood, but I can think of at least one place where it's even bigger. For years, tens of thousands of people would go to downtown Chapel Hill, decked out in their costumes, roaming the streets on Halloween. And today, the event is a little more tame than it used to be. But tonight, we want to revisit one of those days, back when it was the biggest Halloween party in the state. Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. Have a great weekend. Have a happy Halloween. As we leave you with this, your Friday moment of nostalgia.
A party parade with iPods and I don't know. Getting freaky on Franklin Street. That's what this Chapel Hill Halloween bash is all about. From ninjas to nightstands, the costume craziness is an oddity worth watching.
I'm Champ Kind Sports. Rick Tamman Weather.
Brian Fantana, reporter in the field.
And lead anchor Ron Burgundy.
And together you are?
The Channel 4 News Team.
And historically, it's relatively well behaved. Last year, police made 35 arrests for minor infractions.
The majority of the kinds of trouble we have are folks overindulging in alcohol and getting into fights later on in the evening. But early on, most everybody's up here socializing and walking around looking at the costumes and having a good time.
Last year, nearly 80,000 people packed downtown Chapel Hill. This year, police expected a slightly smaller crowd, mainly because there wasn't a home football game this weekend. Still, there was plenty of fun and fright to go around. John Bachman, WRAL News.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.